there is the LeBlanc, made it all the way through the pick and ban. And I think a hard champion to play into the DRX comp. There's a lot of beefiness, there's a lot of point-and-click CC, which as LeBlanc you don't really like. But then, look at the amount of range. Nongshim have 3 people that can basically serve people up to LeBlanc, and then Gory just needs to dive in. But this is a very squishy comp from Nongshim, whereas the DRX comp, do I need to explain it? You know, you go in, and then you kill them, or you don't do anything. There's not a lot of middle ground there. It's a lot of engage. There's so much lockdown to enable Taliyah. If you fall behind with this comp, you have no damage at all.
Yeah. I'm glad that you identified that, like,
yes,
this is a really fun game for a Taliyah player.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I am a true fan of the Taliyah. And you have set up in literally every character. Okay, Taeyun is not amazing, you know, needs to hit his W, but it's basically the dream.
Yeah, it's fantastic follow-up for the Jhin as well. I mean, you have tons of lockdown for him to fire in a bunch of bullets and do some fun stuff from the backside. May need to get a little bit down and dirty. As you were mentioning, they need some kind of sustained damage because it's basically just Taliyah and Jhin. I suppose Renekton can do some stuff. And Ornn, as we know, is he's got many different class definitions, so perhaps he can do something. As, yeah, you already talked about this composition. Nongshim started out as Comfort, ended up with four poke champions in Nautilus. So it's very powerful at doing what it does best. But if you can get in its face, definitely can take advantage of it.
Yeah, Ornn is basically the Mario of League of Legends, where he just does everything well. You know, you can slot him into anyone, it doesn't matter. Just there. Good stats all around, very versatile. Of course, in his current state, not as absurd as he once was.
Yeah, the meme doesn't truly live on. You know,
it lives in our hearts.
The wizard, sorcerer, assassin, bruiser, you know, he literally does everything. You guys get it. He's still pretty good at doing a lot of those things, but
especially with Spellbook,
as you mentioned, it's hard times for Ornn. I mean, it's not hard times, but it's not as good as they once were. So
they're not.
Comparatively hard times.
And if you need any more indication, this skin is so good as well.
It's a good one.
Love it. If you need any more indication that the plan for DRX is a snowball early, look at the rune choice here from Bioshik, right? Going for the Dark Harvest, which, especially in competitive, generally gets dropped in favor of Electrocute, which provides a lot more stable damage, more reliable, especially with the way that Taliyah's kit works, where you're looking for the basically guaranteed stun into the W knock-up. But Dark Harvest, if you do get going, like, your stones become such a menace. And you need to snowball this game, I think, as DRX. Don't get fooled by the fact that there's an Ornn in the game. And I guess if you get really deep into the game, then maybe that can provide you value. But I think it's more to just ensure that if you have even the slightest lead or someone on Nongshim is out of position, you go. And then you go in and see what happens from there.
Yeah. You know, it feels like a composition that can be very easy to play.
Yeah, should be.
Now, if it's not executed decently well, I can definitely see a couple of, you know, pies in the face, a couple of unfortunate, embarrassing moments. You know, where one person goes in, gets blown up, he misses a stun, the other guy is like super late to follow up, and Taliyah misses everything. Like, that can happen. But if you're firing on all cylinders and everybody's moving in the same direction, you all press your buttons, and hopefully something dies in front of you.
It's also a comp that, while the combat range is very short, it's important to know that, especially post-6, the effective range in which you can influence the map and zone is actually way bigger than you might expect. And that's something that Nongshim is going to have to take into account as they move into the mid game and start rotating, is that you look at this comp, and obviously outside of the Jhin, the range is very limited. But then you have the Solar Flare for medium range engage, right? You have the Curtain Call, you have the Weaver's Wall, you have the Ornn engage, and all these allow you to actually find plays from both relative safety and from a larger distance than one might expect. Fortunately for Nongshim, as long as the vision control is good, DRX is going to be health by the time they actually arrive. Especially if Nongshim do
Oh,
Oh.
look at this. The flash comes in, and this is the combo. Renekton and Talia, best friends forever, and this is why you and I are looking to find more Talia here at the LCK.
Oh, that's the first Dark Harvest stack. And that's what you need, because that's what already pointed out. Oh, teleport coming in.
Teleport, yeah, they're going to get the flash out of June. And, yeah, I mean, teleport for flash.
I think it's on Leona, right? So it doesn't feel as good as it might otherwise be. This heat gank from Pina, though. Loving this.
Oh, but Taeyun with the sidestep, and how about another? He's fine. Just going to heal. And they're turning it around. Here comes DRX. The Ignite comes in, and they're like, wait, can we turn this around? I'm not sure. But yes, you can. Believe. Believe DRX you can. But now here's Gory. They're going to get that stun down. And Junis, how does this guy live for this long? Does eventually go down. The chains do go onto Taeyun. And the spear is incredibly close, but Jet is actually a monster at level 4 Renekton. And he will push them back.
A lot of action.
This is getting pretty spicy already.
I'm loving it.
Pyosic's top.
Boy.
Oh, Rich. Pretty smart, but he can still find him as, okay, we're diving down on the bottom side. Not able to kill Taeyun. That was nearly a second turret hit as well. Rich tries to knock him back. Has to flash the seismic shove. This is getting insane. And Noxium are not backing down from it. They're like, yeah, you want to go?
Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Let's get some action. Jet is dead. Didn't expect the Nautilus in the brush from the mid lane, I suppose.
Jet's dead, baby. Jet's dead. And that is actually a big wave that's going to go into the turret there, second one, because all these teleports were used.
Oh.
We don't care about minions, and you know, as DRX, I think this is how you want to go out. I think, yeah, it's your final game of the split. You're locked in 10. Who cares? Let's brawl.
Who cares? I love it.
보자. 나이스 뭐야? 얻어 걸렸다.
Very happy as Pyosik picking up the kill.
Actually, really well played by Taeyun there, like dodging basically every single skill shot, and then the teleport comes through, and he's feeling pretty good.
Look at how long June lives.
Yeah, no, it's insane. But then, and this is something that is really big, and something that I think we've been criticizing Gory for every now and then. Is what?
Assassin Ornn! Oh, over the top!
It.
Come on, get in there! One more! Oh no. We're turning this cast into a Korean cast.
What?
Just making noises. Okay, how about some more action? Well, not quite. As we're down on the bottom side.
Don't stop.
I'm sorry. I just didn't expect the sixth fight in a row to break out. But seems like they're okay.
Foolish Velvis.
I should have known.
After the first fight, can't you see it coming? Oh, okay, I want to see how Pyosik died, because that's actually something I'm very curious about.
I wonder if he got the jump and still Rich just killed him, because he was so low, you know?
It might have been the case, yeah. Also depends on what the back timing was for Pyosik, because he hadn't backed yet. You know, if he's sitting with 1.2k in his pocket, and especially against the Jace, that can be dangerous. And feeling Rich is a very risky proposition if you're playing into Noxium, right? Because Rich kind of has become known, and this is I don't draw comparisons to Nuguri lightly, but specifically the go 0-2 in lane and then still have an impact in team fights is something that we can also recognize Rich in as going on June here.
June, another sidestep, but unfortunately for him, he doesn't have flash anymore. So when you go that far to the right, you're not going to make it back to the left. And that makes it a good spear that does come out here from this side of Peanut. Meanwhile, they see that Peanut is down the bottom side, and Pyosik immediately is going to start up his Rift Herald.
As one should. Taeyun, not quite 6 yet, is going to hit it maybe off the ward. Yeah, we'll hit it off the ward, so now also has the ultimate available in case he really wanted to play it low risk. Yeah, nicely capitalized here. This might be a free Rift Herald. Bryo on top, threat of Renekton in mid. And this is obviously happening on Vision, as it will go down here. And if DRX are able to get a dive somewhere with this, then they can actually get themselves a gold lead, get a first Turbo Blood. And that would be a great way for them to kind of get into a more comfortable position in this game.
All right, let's see.
여기 있다.
He's here.
잡았어, 살려.
We got him.
나는 죽을 듯. 살만한데 이거?
I think he said, I think I'm going to die.
살았다.
And then he was like, no, I think I'll live. And then he's like, oh, I live. A classic thing to say as a League of Legends player.
Yeah, very straightforward. And giving Dokdom more kills is great. Dokdom has been, I think, the most reliable carry on Nongshim. Could make an argument for Gory as well. But Dokdom in particular has been such an impressive AD carry in a league that is already stacked with a lot of great AD carries. And giving your lethality various more gold is going to make your mid-game sieges for objectives incredibly strong, and you need that, right? Like, so the gold is on the good people. I think that Rich and Dokdom in particular are the two most important ones. Peanut, it would be nice, but we already know what Peanut's going to do. He's going to be relevant mid to late game anyway with just how he plays very aggressively for the farm. Loving this, though. Aggressive invades coming through here. This is where you're strong.
Yeah, and it's Leona to Leah, right? This is how you get in there, even a Renekton, but he can't get in range, but it's still enough. As Flash Ignite is used, and now Gory trying to blow up Pyosik here. He's got a nice amount of damage, and the team is backing him up, and now Taeyun is trying to get the right LeBlanc, and he will! Flash is in for the kill, as it looks like Dokdom will be able to trade it back, but here comes Assassin Ornn again. The Ignite is ticking, and that will be the kill. Solo in the top lane for King In.
And that's a huge one. Really nicely done. And we were talking just now about Rich going down every now and then. Happens here again. And this is something that if you remember the heydays of Ornn, especially with Spellbook, you know that was coming. The Ignite is available. It's way more damage than you could reasonably account for. And he does get taken down. Just fighting everywhere, Valdez. It is pure anarchy here, as I'm loving this. Just not well timed there. It's June that's a little late on the queue. If he has that immediately the moment he goes in, then maybe they get the knock up. I can imagine as Rich that you feel relatively safe here. There we go.
Yeah,
that. Oh, this feels so bad because you flash as well.
Yeah. And he used To the Skies. I think he also used the knockback, so it's like, well...
What do you do?
How do I get away from him? Just not respecting the damage out of Ornn. Really,
yeah,
just straight up, just trying to push it in, you know. Maybe a little bit on autopilot as a Jace player. Happens to the best of them, I think.
Yeah, especially considering that you are in... a lead in top lane, at least. Lead all across the map, obviously. Not quite the case, as there has been a lot of general gold going over to DRX, which is also the reason. It's a very even game, honestly.
Rift Herald's still available for Pyosik. They want to drop it down here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, wouldn't mind that. They can zone dog them away. Peanut is on his way. Rich also has TP available. Don't want to go for it. Just get the plates.
Yeah. Get a little bit of that. And some over to Pyosik, some over to Taeyun. Spread the love a little bit. Gets them a nice little gold lead here in this game. And, I mean, you're not breaking the game open. You're not diving bot and getting a double kill and first turret blood or anything like that. But DRX in a lead is a breath of fresh air. Of course, as we saw in the stats, and as you mentioned very nicely, Chronicler, Nongshim not necessarily a team that's always in the lead here in the early game.
No, because what we can see from Nongshim is that, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by how willing they were to throw down, considering they're a team that, if they have the opportunity not to, generally they're like, oh, that's fine. We'll just wait for maybe level 6, maybe an item or two. But they were ready. Nice read here by Rich, by the way, immediately backing off. No teleports available, no reinforcements for him at all. And yeah, into Leah and Renekton, you need to be very respectful, otherwise you will just die immediately. Even if King didn't just get the solo kill, which he did, at least Ignite is not available for a little while now. So that's something you can rejoice over. But simultaneously, Nongshim got a lot of gold on a couple of good people, but I'm wondering how we're going to see this, because I expect Nongshim to really start putting a lot more pressure on this game the moment we go for the first objective. That's traditionally, you know, that second Herald fight, that second Drake fight is where they start to really showcase what makes this team so great. Because so far, a lot of back and forth. Small lead for DRX, but no big moves one way or the other.
Yeah. Nongshim definitely not a team to get frazzled by this. They don't get anxious. They don't try to make rash decisions or crazy plays. They're very much comfortable in themselves, and they understand that, like, okay, you know, things are going the way they're going in the early game, but we can absolutely win as the game comes along. Just do your jobs, try not to make any mistakes, and keep moving along with this. It's part of why we talk about in Nongshim. They're very modest as well. Even when they get ahead, they're just like, no, like, stay calm, just do our jobs, keep doing the right thing. And I think Peanut's a great leader to try to lead the charge on that idea.
Oh, Gory must know. Especially with that ward that deep. Pyoshik and June moving up, and you can't ever face check. That's the big one.
Yeah.
Need to respect so much, because if you ever get hit by something, and now they obviously know, but they were suspecting it already clearly, and gonna give up the Drake. And I think this is fine. It's a second Drake. It might be a Cloud Soul, in which case giving up the first couple, not the end of the world. And you might be able to get yourself first Turbo Block, which is actually a considerable amount of gold, even post plates.
Kingen just trying to survive up in the top side. As already the Eclipse is done here for Rich, so can actually begin to do a decent amount of damage. Peanut's also up here. He picked up that second Rift Herald, so they're trying to break this open before the bottom lane goes down to DRX. And you would imagine they should be able to do that.
Oh.
Not even going to use the Rift Herald. This might come back to bite them. No, they're still going to get it. And that means holding on to it was the right call.
Oh, that's a scary call to make, I think. Because if you give up the first Turbo Blood, it's not one of those things that, like, it's immediately, oh, no, now we're in deep trouble. But it is one of the things that can cause a snowball, right? Peanut's like, no, that's stealing away my jungle.
Not even close, just like with the turrets.
Yeah. Peanut knew, you know, we were worried, but Peanut was not. He was like, no, we get the damage. Don't worry, just attack the turret.
That's the way that Peanut rolls.
Just easy going. Now going into a subsequent fight, which should be relatively far off, unless we see someone move very far up a lane. Expect Nongshim to group proactively a little bit earlier, use their poke to secure themselves some control of a bot side jungle, because this third Drake you can't give up. It is not a Cloud, so it's indeed the Mountain. Giving up Mountain to DRX also takes away a lot of the arguments that you might otherwise run into of, like, yeah, but they're late game. Well, if they have a Mountain Soul, good luck getting through that, and good luck ever getting June or Kingen down. Especially considering Dogdom has gone for the lethality build here as well, which I think is perfectly fine as long as you stay decently ahead, or at the very least even.
It's a lot of damage going into Gory. Gory is able to trade it back decently, but of course Dominus held on to. As you never know who's going to come in here, and look at this, Pyoshik's just in your face, not able to kill the LeBlanc. Generally extremely hard to do. Looking to turn this one around. Nice cleanse from Duckdom as he was on a solo mission there in the mid lane. And he will get away scot-free. 3 people from Nongshim down on the bottom side, just pressuring Kingen off of the turret as DRX take their own turret in the top lane.
And this is not a fun game to play as LeBlanc as well. We can see how much attention is being paid to keep Gory on even footing or behind in this case. In addition to that, there's so much available. I don't know about that one. He has barrier. He's fine.
Dude.
Or is he?
No, I don't know about that one. Okay. He's just feeling the Ornn vibes, you know? Sometimes when you play Ornn takes over the keyboard. And you lose all sense of control and you charge right in. It's like playing Lee Sin, right? You hit the Q and you just gotta go, right? It's just the way it is.
The Mountain is not afraid, Valdez. The Mountain goes. Unfortunately, in this case, goes straight into the Death Chamber.
Immediate replay. Thanks, Jonas Strong.
Because, yeah. Don't have an explanation for that one, Valdez.
Yeah.
No one around. No pressure on the side of the map. it happens.
Yeah. All you had to do was clear the wave, clear Shirley, which is what he did very nicely, and then you just do that in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And you probably survive.
It's he got a little bit extra XP now, so now he's level 13. That must have been
No,
it.
but he could have cleared the wave and gotten away.
I know. I'm not.
Okay,
Please.
I see.
I notice. I need you to have faith in me. And when I say that, I'm not serious. Okay.
Okay, I'm learning.
The expectations of me that
The
low.
standards are kind of,
They're kind of dropping this split. Oh no.
I thought that DRX were going to pull the trigger on this one. I thought Pyosik was unleashing the wall. Unfortunately, the wall is not off cooldowns.
Yeah. Also, even if you do have it available, I think you can go halfway with that and then try and see if you can force a flash from Rich. But with the lack of vision available there, the one thing that you need to avoid is DRX, and where we actually saw King and run into that, is the kind of trap of going over aggressive. Because you do have, like I said, you have so many buttons that you're like, okay, we press them and then we go in. It's like, or an ultimate, Weaver's Wall, curtain call, solar like you can throw everything, but you do actually need to execute well. Because I think your straight up 5v5, especially at this point in the game still, is incredible. But you need to find the actual right moment, otherwise this poke and the kiteback from Nongshim is going to be an immense problem. King just now finishes in FMAS, won't have that passive available, meaning no reduced CDR or tenacity rather if it goes in.
Here we go, the flash away, Kingin is trying to get something going here for his team as Kellen is left out to dry, and he was your only tank. So now, you just have to poke, and they nearly take out Taeyun. Is the name of the game here for Nongshim, really.
Well, they're still full health plus on everyone else.
Weaver's Wall comes down. That's going to put Rich in an awkward spot. He doesn't have his flash. They're trying to burst this one down as Peanut, he's going to just give that one away. The smite will go the way of DRX as now they're on Mountain Soul Point. And now they're just trying to disengage. Should be able to do decently, but the poke is coming on in. Lots dodged, but Pyosik, unfortunately, will give his life over as he salutes, as he does drown to the rest of Nongshim.
Oh, if that play from Callan works out, I think DRX have no shot. Yeah, he's dead.
Okay.
Oh!
All right, well. I guess he thought Gory went back, but that was not
okay,
what happened.
Gory.
And they're doing Baron.
That's Nongshim.
That's what Nongshim does.
And it's still not the greatest trade in the books, giving up a soul point for a Baron can definitely backfire. A lot of our teams wouldn't even get here.
Oh, they're ready to fight. Not sure why Jet's there all alone. And you know what, Chronicler? I feel like this is exactly what we were expecting between these two teams.
100%.
DRX, they were a little bit more feisty than we expected. As now, okay, they're pulling the trigger again. Here we go again. Gory's in the back line, and immediately Pyosik disappears. As do they have the damage between Leona and Ornn? The answer is no. They do kill Jace, but at the end of the day, June will also go down. So a double kill for LeBlanc, and another kill going over to someone else as they take down Pyosik. And these wallets are really they're stacked full of Benjamins right now for the side of Nongshim. Feeling pretty good.
Oh, they're rich. Their investments have paid off. And I'm glad that you pointed out is that this is showing us again why DRX is in this position and why Nongshim is in the position that they are, right? Because I think that if you look at individual players on DRX, I think the only one that's having an actual, Kingen has a moment or two. I don't think Jet has had the greatest game. But the gap individually is not necessarily that. It's just that the moment that you actually need to start making calls on the map, that you actually need to play out these team fights, you see how big the gap is, right? And unlike DRX, that are able to sense that a moment is there, but don't know how to execute upon it, Nongshim, they don't just see the moment, like, they see the moment approaching, and then the moment that the moment arrives, not the greatest phrasing, but we'll go with it, they're already there.
Player names moments in like Challenger or something.
I think it's the new assistant coach for T1. Oh, actually. Yeah. I wanted this fadeaway chain.
He doesn't even say anything. It's so expected of himself.
Ice cold. Ice cold. And then this. Yeah, of course you do, DRX. Try and get these buffs. This is actually an amazing W here, but here you see again this, and this is why we keep going on about Gory. There is valid criticism to be levied towards this man for his laning phase. But the moment you get out of laning phase, the way he plays these skirmishes consistently is nothing short of amazing, right? Like, every time he finds these windows, and he went from being, I think it was 0-2 and 1 LeBlanc to being very fed out of nowhere, seemingly. And I was talking about, it's not that bad. LeBlanc doesn't have that. Well, no, he does have a lead. Whew.
It's a problem. Yeah, it's a mid laner that's really suffocating to play against, especially on a champion like LeBlanc. You feel like he can be anywhere. You feel like he can do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, Taeyoon, he wasn't even really that far off of his turret. I mean, it wasn't the best positioning, but just the fact that, okay, like, it's almost this trust, this inevitability. It's like, okay, Gory's going to be able to pull this off.
It's the same for Talia, right? Because that's the sole IP source. And you have limited range. And this is the issue that we were afraid that DRX might run into. Because now when Pioshi gets low, you can't go for a fight. You need to back off.
Yeah. And here we go. I mean, this is what DRX have to do. Unfortunately, everybody's poked down already. Some nice shots coming in from the back from the Jhin, but Jet is nearly going to go down. He has to flash away to survive. And Nongshim are fine. I mean, you used a bunch of tools, but you didn't get anybody. And Peanut's at full health. He can heal everybody back up. And now you can just push in with your poke comp and enjoy your lead here.
Perfect example. The moment I say DRX, now you can't go in because Pioshik is half health, they're literally sitting there getting poked down, they pull the trigger, right? And it doesn't work out. You throw a bunch of ultimates into the Aoife, Nongshim, so yeah, okay, cool. Now we get Drake for free, which they need, because if there is somehow a miracle still in this game and they get Soul, this game gets turned around, I don't know what I'll do without this. But with the control, look at these boards. Nothing is getting stolen here.
Yeah.
It's a classic Nongshim turn, and this is one of those games where I think if you look in isolation, like why did Nongshim like get kind of go on even footing against DRX, a team that's 10th? But they do this against literally every team. Like, it doesn't matter who their opponents are. Yeah.
Except maybe Afrika where they lost.
I mean, they've lost more series, right? But it doesn't take away from what makes them so good. DRX pull the trigger on a fight that's basically lost before it's began, and that happens sometimes with poke-comps, but usually it's a less egregious example. In this case, you lose the Drake. I don't think you were ever going to contest that one, but now the gold lead is so big that, as we saw that, just one shock blast, one spear, one arrow, and someone is out of the fight. All right, so your movement up as DRX needs to be impeccable, and then your execution on the engage needs to be perfect. And if you don't hit those two benchmarks, someone on Nongshim is going to kill you.
Yeah.
Now, don't know who it will be.
They have a lot of choices.
Yeah. Probably not Kellen, though.
Hey, I mean, you know.
Ignite's almost available.
Yeah, Nautilus can do some fun stuff. I want to get... do you remember AP Nautilus mid?
Oh,
good times. Yeah.
You know, Jungle Nautilus got buffed, and I tried it. And you can still not really clear the jungle, but it feels good if you have damage laners.
Oh, man. Gory found him. Thankfully, stopwatch available here, but Gory's fine. I mean, as long as he doesn't die, he can just continue poking down. The Solar Flare comes in, and now they got him. And that's what I was saying. As long as he doesn't die, they're fine, but the second that Gory gets popped down by June there, we're able to do some stuff. Again, DRX are pretty far behind, but getting a pick like that denies any potential Baron rush or stuff like this, buys you some more time in this game.
And pace of the game expected to somewhat slow down. And there you see still the power that DRX have if they can actually lock someone down. Right? The entirety of Nongshim's comp is squishy, and while I think they have an immense lead, and especially considering how they've been playing, they should be in full control of this game from here on out. Don't count DRX out quite yet, as I think the attempt to go in this play is really nice, but then Actually, hard committing here is a really, really big risk. Nicely done from June there as well. That actually sets that up, because I missed that, but just flashed on top of Gory.
Yep.
He was looking from an angle from the side and combined it with a knockup from Kingin. And there you do see that long range, right? Like, it felt for Nongshim like they were fighting with 3 people, but then out of nowhere comes the Ornut, comes the curtain call, and that's something that I think Nongshim, they might make the mistake once. I don't expect them to make it again, because if they do, then they might give up more. Might give up a Soul, might give up a Baron, and then all of a sudden DRX are a long way back into this game.
Yeah.
Wow, King is it's almost 16.
Just
Great.
warring things. He's been mostly with his team here in the later stages of the game as well. It's not even like he's side laning all the time.
It's not the split pushing on?
Yeah, no.
What's that hole breaker, man?
It's, you know, just Orn things. You can do whatever you want, basically. A jack of all trades, in the truest sense of the word. You see that the most gold in the game, though, is definitely in the hands of Rich here. Kind of makes sense. Peanut right behind him, Taeyun.
It's very close on the top end.
Yeah. I'm surprised that Taeyun has so much gold, but, I mean, 300 CS already.
I think his Jhin has actually been super good. In terms of impact, not necessarily, but his movement around the map, how he was able to actually do what a Jhin is supposed to do, which is mitigate the laning phase against Varus, and then that never actually happens in a lot of our LCK games. And I wonder, Nongshim now setting up. Again, they cannot risk a 50-50. They are very far behind in terms of mountains, and it's also a surefire win condition for them, because we talked about the lack of damage that Nongshim might have if you run into a mountain. So, well, for DRX it's worse. You can't give this team mountain.
Yeah.
Because by that point, I don't think your damage is going to be enough. The hunt to 0 not going to be quite there anymore. However, you are still incredibly strong, and if you can somehow find a way to make this fight work, pick up a sword for yourself. In a great spot here is DRX.
See, Rich is doing his best on the poke front. I haven't seen a lot of piercing arrows or spears really land onto anyone. Kingen has taken a bit of damage. But other than that, I mean, relatively healthy for DRX. As I say that, June does take a big one to the face. Jet doing a nice job of baiting some out, I suppose, up on the left side, looking for a potential flank. You really just want to go all in when you do push all of your buttons here for DRX. It's either that or you try to get the Mountain Soul and leave, as here we go, the wall comes in. Nice front lining here for Kellen, though. He's going to deny a lot of that engage as Jet flashes in, but he's alone. And down he will go. And just like that, Nongshim pretty happy as they can go on the chase as well. Here comes Gory looking for a bit more, but no need to take the risk. You already took down Jet, and you will get this Mountain Drake and move on with your lead.
The idea is there. The execution, unfortunately, for the DRX is not, as it is. It's literally just Kellen that stands there and is like, no, we're not. No, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not on board with you guys diving onto my backline, and that's also why you see like these health bars are still full. There's no actual meaningful damage connected for the DRX, unfortunately. Very clean and free Baron coming through here from Nongshim. And, you know, look for a turn. Don't actually ever want a turn here. So Kingen, again, likes to go forward, but knows without the rest of his team can't really get anything done. And Nongshim now building out this gold lead to the point where it starts feeling like an inevitability.
Yeah. You see this fight?
Oh, man. And this is the exact play that Kellen tried to go for earlier. But this time it works out, because he denies the second charge, right? And that's the one that really stinks. That's the one that might have made this play work. But really, hero play from Kellen there, which is also a nice redemption, because the first time he tried it, he flashed, and then was too late, and then he died. So, you know, it's good to see that it can also work out.
For sure. And, you know, when you ban the Braum, you pick the Ornn, you're feeling generally pretty good about that pick, especially for what it can do in your comp. But there's a lot of other support picks that can CC you and deny you as long as they're confidently in a good spot ahead. As we're trying to lock down Duck Dom, he has to go into his stopwatch, flashes away, but the stun comes in and they take down Duck Dom. That's the pick they were looking for, but June, a little bit deep in there. And now Peanut's behind everybody. See how well he can corral. He's going to get slowed on one. We got a fight as well. Kingen and Pioshik getting to work on a Kellen here. Jet and Taeyun looking to group up with the rest of the team. As Kellen going to frontline once again, but he immediately dies as a lot of damage being done here. Some low health bars on the side of DRX. We still have LeBlanc, Nidalee, and Jace chasing you down. We'll see how DRX can handle this. 4v3. Holding a Phalanx for now. A nice little concave, just trying to kite them out. Bit of damage coming out from Rich. And we are
trying to get back home.
This is just the train back to the base, but Rich is being very annoying. And you can see they're trying to do a little bit of damage. Looking for King, and it looks like Jet is going to stun, but he will be the sacrificial lamb. As Kingen as well, nearly able to turn that one onto Peanut, actually. Got to be a little bit careful about that brush with the Talia. Not quite going to happen, though, as DRX will get away with the rest of their members.
And by the end of it, nothing has happened. I guess you've wasted the Baron buff for Nongshim, and that's a win. That's DRX. And Valdez, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is starting to feel dangerously into all, like, spring DRX territory, like this type of game that we're seeing here is Rich.
Okay, and yeah.
Never mind.
You call the Forge God, and your AD carry dies. Not necessarily what you were thinking as Gory flashes the T1 in the faces of everybody. And yeah, I guess Nongshim are just going to move on in now. They still have 9 seconds of Baron, and it might just be enough.
Guess it wasn't wasted after all.
Yeah. Just barely enough time as they have the poke down here. Leona dies. Jet tries to make something happen, but the damage just isn't quite there. At this point in the game, Pioshik will immediately melt as well. And that will be Nongshim taking game number 1 here in 35 minutes, as it was a relatively smooth ride to the victory.
It was definitely a fun ride, Valdez. Wow. Especially that final. It was basically the opposite of the play that we saw earlier today, where everyone is being dragged away from the base. This was like Operation Get Everyone Home Safe, but then you get home and then they're already there.